This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. It's great to have you with us. The multi-million-dollar Reef Resort is nearing completion. The opening of the five-star resort has so far created hundreds of jobs and will result in additional airlift to the island. Today, the Minister for Grand Bahama, along with the team, took the media on a tour to get an update on the progress thus far. Shashina Roll reports.
The Reef Village is one of the most significant projects here on the island of Grand Bahama. With the island's ailing tourism economy, it promises to revitalize the sector and employ hundreds of Grand Bahamians. Today, the Minister for Grand Bahama, along with key stakeholders in the Grand Bahama Port Authority, visited the property to get a first-hand view of what's to come. From the outside, you would never anticipate the level of work going on at the Reef Village. Hundreds of construction workers are putting the final touches on the resort that is expected to be the catalyst needed to propel Grand Bahama's tourism industry. The Minister of Grand Bahama, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, says he is pleased with the level of work at the resort.
We wanted the media to take a look to see that the project is moving. It's on schedule, and we anticipate, as the projected date for Sunwing is January, we anticipate that we should have completion here on the project, and the airlift from Canada and North America will be on schedule. I'm excited about what is happening, and I'm so pleased because we've been working on this project for some time, and now we are seeing the fruits of this project, which is employment in the construction phase, and on completion it will move into permanent jobs for the residents of Grand Bahama.
Renovations to the Reef Village Hotel could cost between $14 to $20 million. Darville says construction teams will more than double in a few weeks, and he adds that the best news is permanent employment will soon become available to Grand Bahamians.
The assessment at the hotel and the renovation of the two restaurants that are supposed to be at the casino will begin, I think, sometime tomorrow or the day after. I'm very pleased with the way how the work is progressing, and I anticipate that the projected date, which will be in December, would be completed.
65% of the 500 rooms at the resort are already complete, and some of the decor have already been placed inside. President of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Ian Roll, Vice President Ginger Moxie, and Business Development Manager Derek Newbold also viewed the five-star resort.
It's very important for us to focus on creating jobs at the moment, causing activities to happen in our economy, and this is a very, very significant moment for Freeport.
Renovations have also taken place at the domestic terminal at the airport. The minister and crew also visited that site and shared why this temporary arrangement had to be made.
4 of the flights that we anticipate will start in January will be coming from Canada. And as you're aware, we clear customs and immigration on the other side of the airport, but flights going back into Canada leaves from the domestic terminal. And so this domestic terminal must be accommodated for what we anticipate will come in January. If you look around and you take a shot at the facility, you will see that the old shop has been moved and pushed back. And as you go into the pre-clearance lounge, you will see that we have accommodated and extended the space so that we can have a capacity of somewhere between 400 and 400 seating capacity.
The minister says they are now in the planning stages of a new state-of-the-art airport domestic terminal to carry the load that will come from Canada as well as other destinations once the resort is complete. Shashina Roll, ZNS Network News.
The Minister of Education, Science and Technology, Jerome Fitzgerald, met with College of the Bahamas officials as well as executives of the Grand Bahama Port Authority during his visit to Grand Bahama yesterday. The way forward for the country's leading tertiary education institute, as well as improving the East End campus, was the center of discussion. As the College of the Bahamas makes its transition to university status, a transformation of the northern campus is expected to take place.
Those talks were very productive. We came to certain agreements which I would not like to discuss now because they're subject to both the Grand Bahama Board, the Grand Bahama Port Authority Board approving, and the College of the Bahamas Board approving. But we expect very shortly, probably around the end of this month or early November, we would be in a position to make a formal announcement with regard to that.
The chairman of the College of the Bahamas, Alfred Sayers, says the meeting also provided an opportunity to strengthen the private partnership with the Grand Bahama Port Authority and explains the strategic goals of the institution.
Over the course of the next 12 months, we expect to expand the campus with dormitory and other facilities, as well as strengthen the maritime studies program or degree program in partnership with the LJM Maritime Academy that will be providing a training ship for the students studying maritime studies here in Grand Bahama. These strategic objectives we were able to share with the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and as the Minister said, in early course, we should be hearing and finalizing the deliberations and agreements which were made at the meeting.
Police were out in full force yesterday enforcing the rules of the road. Officers were positioned at virtually every major thoroughfare in what the police called Operation Gridlock. Within a 3-hour period, officers cited 436 motorists for various traffic infractions. We spoke with the officer in charge of the Traffic Division, Assistant Superintendent Kenwood Taylor, at one of the major intersections during the height of the operation yesterday.
We are noticing a high rise of persons not wearing their seatbelts, and as a result we are operating at zero tolerance. All of these are fixed penalty notices, and at all of our points we are ticketing persons. So we are happy that all of these, riding with heavily tinted vehicles is a ticketed offense, driving without due care and attention is a ticketed offense, driving without seatbelts is a ticketed offense. We'd also like to say for persons who are indiscriminately dumping waste or throwing trash out of the window, that is in itself a ticketed offense. So we are currently on the lookout for that also.
ASP Taylor says the police will continue the crackdown on traffic violations, and he is advising motorists to adhere to all traffic rules and regulations while traversing the streets of Grand Bahama.
We've also noticed a trend where persons are utilizing fraudulent inspection stickers. That's an arrestable offense. We are clamping down on that. If you are found, you're going to be taken into custody. Also, we encourage members of the public, when the police officer stops you and asks you your name and your address, give the officer some form of identification, identify yourself, because failing to give your name and address is also an arrestable offense.
Police investigating a stabbing incident in the Hudson Estate area. The incident reportedly occurred around 1:35 this morning. Reports are that a 30-year-old man and a 22-year-old woman were involved in an altercation while at their home in Hudson Estates. They both sustained serious injuries and are detained in hospital. Investigations are continuing. Meanwhile, the parent accused of attacking public school principal Yvonne Ward had her day in court today, and after pleading guilty to several charges, she's now spending time behind bars. 34-year-old Latoya Denise Williams of Country Club Manor, Albacore Drive, appeared before Magistrate Debbie Ferguson. She was charged with causing harm, disorderly behavior, resisting arrest, and causing damage. Williams pleaded guilty to all counts. On the causing harm charge, she was sentenced to 6 months in prison. She was fined $25 on the disorderly behavior charge and was sentenced to a month in prison for resisting arrest. The sentences are to run concurrently. Williams was also ordered to pay $684 to the school principal, including $200 in punitive damages. And if the fine isn't paid, she could face an additional 6 months behind bars. Reports are that Williams visited the school campus on Tuesday to inquire about discrepancies on her daughter's transcript, and that is when she attacked Jack Haywood principal Yvonne Ward. Now, ZNS News has learned that Williams was unable to pay the fine in the specified time, so her jail sentence has been extended extended to 1 year. In other news, the new immigration chief on Grand Bahama is addressing an issue which he says has become a major concern for that government agency.
The Department of Immigration, under my watch now, will do whatever it needs to do in order to discourage, to deter, and to apprehend and to prosecute anyone who is involved or who is found to be involved in human smuggling.
Assistant Director at the Department of Immigration for the Northern Bahamas, James Roll, says human smuggling continues to pose a challenge for that government agency. He says the department is taking a zero-tolerance approach to this serious problem as they become more vigilant in surveillance and enforcement efforts.
In the recent 2 weeks, we have had occasions where we apprehended 17 Indians who were smuggling. Prior to that, we had in our custody some 4 Colombians and 1 Venezuelan. And just yesterday, we apprehended 4 Brazilians. Fortunately, we were able to apprehend also an American citizen who we suspect was aiding in their movement.
Those persons have been charged before the court. The recent tragedy in waters off Holmes Rock has raised many concerns about human smuggling in this region. Roll says the Bahamas is a transient point and usually the intended final destination is the United States of America. He says while Bahamians are sometimes involved in the illegal movement of human cargo, the operation is usually an effort between various nationalities.
In this human smuggling, you've got people are housed in our communities, and so in most cases the homes are owned by Bahamians or at least residents of the Bahamas, and so we can't just say that Bahamians are not or the only ones smuggling, but there are other nationals who capitalize on, I guess, the weakness in our systems.
The immigration boss says the department is also stretched in the area of manpower.
Most certainly we do not have sufficient manpower because you are quite aware of the geographic layout of the island of Grand Bahama. You've got canals, you've got marinas, and then you've got a landmass that runs from east end to west end. And the manpower for the Department of Immigration in terms of enforcement officer is less than 50 officers.
Penalties for breaches of the Immigration Act range from $3,000 to $5,000 or up to 2 years imprisonment. Roll says those fines could be increased in the near future. Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition is coming right back.